What's up, Legends? Rocky here, jamming on an article today that I've sent to hundreds and hundreds of clients and friends who have asked me about the the fastest and easiest, most effective ways of burning fat and gaining some muscle. Everybody talks about lean muscle and not getting bulky. First of all, let's just squash that. I mean, by lifting some heavy weight, sometimes it's not going to turn you into a linebacker. It's really difficult to gain that kind of muscle. So let's throw that out the window for a second and really just jam on this article, which I will show you here. It's called Rise and Grind. I wrote it probably 3 years ago now, and it essentially is talking about utilizing your body as the chemistry set that's already readily available to you, and trying to work with the flow and the timing of some of the hormones that are already active, as well as kind of hacking by using some certain supplements, but also just really being very diligent about what we're putting into our bodies and when, as well as what we're doing with our bodies and when. So a lot about timing. Okay, so I'll post this article here to the group. Please devour it, go through it in details, because this is also what I kind of base my 333 program on as well. Every one of the people who signs up for that gets this and some homework assignments to break it down. I don't care that you know or take away some of these major hormones in here, but as long as you're understanding the basis, the gist of it, so you can really have a feel of what's going on in your body and when and why, that's all I care about. So that's what I'm going to go with you through today, and really just hoping that you walk away with a better concept of how your food timing and your fitness timing plays a huge role in whether you are losing fat or not, and at what rate. Okay, so we'll break down a couple of these: hormone health, ketone nutrition, fat melting cardio, and strength training. All right, so first and foremost, recognizing what's active during the beginning of the day. Many of you have heard of the hormone cortisol. That's your stress hormone. Super active in the morning, helps to get you up and going. Working with that, as well as your ghrelin, which tells the brain basically the stomach is without food, says to eat. Understanding what's going on there and how you can kind of not interrupt, but utilize this in a way that, I like to use the analogy that from the age 0 and our first bite of baby formula, we've been really just teaching our body how to use glucose only as a fuel source for our brain and body. When in reality, if we were simply relying on glucose all the time, the half-life, you get hungry again within 2 hours, 4 hours. That's why many of the old school nutrition programs talk about eating every 2-3 hours. Crazy. I preach more of a 1 to 2 times a day if you were burning in the right way. I don't teach that for people who have not made the shift. So a lot of what we do in the 333 program is also teaching the body how to turn off and on certain hormones to make your body more of a fat burning monster. All right. So when you understand what's going on in the morning, growth hormone is spiking. Your body has just been in this anabolic state to try to rebuild everything that's been broken down. How do we utilize that? How do we continue the growth of that? As soon as we add insulin, which is a huge hormone in the body that sets off a giant chain of events. As soon as we introduce that, which happens when we spike our blood glucose, which is the only thing that happens when we're dumping Captain Crunch or Cinnamon Toast Crunch or any crunches, for that matter, into our morning routine. We're setting off this chain of events that says, okay, everything that was in this anabolic state of boosting my metabolism and my muscle growth, which creates lean body mass, because your body's burning all day by rebuilding. It burns fat to build muscle. So if we interrupt that by introducing even I hate to say it, but yogurt and granola, granola, sure, it's a more complex carbohydrate, but it's still a carbohydrate. It's still going to interrupt this cycle that naturally wants to happen. So what we want to do is essentially extend that cycle as long as possible. Here's an example of one of the breakfasts. This is actually in New Zealand when I was traveling for, I was there for 3.5, 4 months, and still I was able to maintain. My goal while I was there was to never visit a gym and to still maintain my like hard shredded physique, and I accomplished it. And a lot of it had to do with really just like seeking out, like, this was my breakfast. There, you see here, it's like eggs, avocado. I don't know what this is, but it's not a carbohydrate. Like, understand that I'm not against carbohydrates here. They serve a great purpose. I'm simply like, if we can just take them out of the spotlight, and here, and especially in the West, it's like there's carbohydrates on everything. It's really a challenge to kind of zap them out. But if we just at least become a little more conscious of it, then we can start to use what's already happening in our body to bolster and leverage our fat burning. So moving on through here, essentially your body is it knows how to use ketones, but we got to reteach it how to do that. So intermittent fasting is a big way to do it. What I don't recommend is just saying, I'm going to stop eating intermittently, because you're going to crash and burn and really screw up your metabolism more than help it. I do recommend intermittent fasting, but only after you've made the shift, only after you've retaught the brain and body how to use fats as a fuel source. You're a hybrid machine. Stop treating your body like it's only a gas guzzler. Okay? Say that again. You are a hybrid machine. Please stop treating the body like it is only fueled by one fuel source. Okay? In order to do that, we have to teach it how to do that. So what we go through here, and what I say here in the bottom, basically, so in a perfect world, we follow these steps. There's 3 steps here. Step 1 is more important than step 2. Step 2 is more important than step 3. But if losing fat pounds and becoming the healthiest version of yourself is a priority, then don't skip any of the steps, okay? So after you've understood how the body works and what's present and when, then, only then go into that. I don't want you to do something without understand why you're doing something. I hate that. Maybe you don't hate that, and if so, then skip the whole part about nutrition and hormone health and just come into the step 1, 2, and 3. But reality is, if we spend more time in ketosis in the mornings, and I give you some ways to do that here, really introducing some readily available, easily digestible fats, some MCT oils, avocado is great. Air is great. Eating nothing, but only once we've gotten there. And then there's some cool newer supplements, some exogenous ketones that I'm a big fan of. But again, if you have not gone through the shift yet, you'll try, and you'll know, because if you try it too early, you'll just have this like rock gut and it feels terrible. I've had a lot of people like stop, like, it just doesn't work with me. I'm like, it's because you introduced supplement a little too early. So trust me on that. Get there when it's time. And if we're working together in any capacity, then we'll have I'll tell you when it's time. You could try to wing it, and good luck. Do a lot of research first, please. But yeah, in the mornings, increasing time spent in ketosis, your body is already in this state of like, well, it had to have burnt through all of its glucose as you were sleeping, any alcohol. All that's left is your fat. Part of the reason why like you have such powerful dreams, your certain glands in your body, like your pineal gland, is powered primarily by ketones. So if that's a whole nother rabbit hole we can go down another time, maybe with some mushrooms. But in your morning cocktail mix, speaking of mushrooms, there are a handful of awesome ways to add in adaptogens. If you want to go like the clarified butter and the like MCT oil route, I just like, once you've made through the shift, start that morning cocktail. It's not technically fasting at this point because you're introducing a bunch of calories, but none of them are carbohydrates. They're all readily used fats. Okay, and then by doing that, we're giving our body substance in the morning before we go into step 2, which is high intensity intervals bouts, followed by your cardio. Okay, so this is like step 1. If your body is hungry in the morning, which, I mean, ghrelin's high, tells your body, I gotta eat. It's the morning, I gotta eat. And some people don't get hungry in the morning, that's cool. But as long as you have the energy to go through your HIIT, your high intensity interval training, or your WIT, your whole intensity interval training, which you can find on the Whole Fitness website. And I provide the Whole Fit Essentials to anybody who does the 333 program. I call it 10,000 years of fitness crammed into 20 minutes. Goes through all kinds of like Tai Chi, yoga, Pilates, high intensity interval training, all wrapped into one. But by doing that, hopefully you have some fuel at least to get you through this, your HIIT, your WIT, something intense in the morning. But what we're aiming for here is what's called EPOC, excess post-oxygen and exercise consumption. Excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. There we go. There it is right there. And what I equate this to is if you ever had a dog, or you've been around a dog who you like, take them running at the dog park or on the beach or something, and dogs don't sweat, but what they do for a long time after is they pant, right? Like, think of EPOC as your body panting. You may stop sweating after your workout, but the insides are still panting and panting. And as you're panting, as your body is panting like that, you are burning fats. Okay? Because it doesn't take a whole ton of energy for your body to take care of the panting. It's kind of tending to it, and that's enough. It takes the faster fuel sources like the glucose, the creatine phosphate to do fast work. But when you're panting, when your insides are panting in EPOC, it's all fat. It's all fat burning. Okay, but while you're doing the HIIT, it's like zilch, hardly any fat burning, right? So that's why it also might be really difficult to HIIT first in the morning. Hit the HIIT. Didn't crack myself up. All right, so kind of an understanding there. So as long as there's fuel to get you through it, and don't use what you want to grab, which is like an easy like bar or an apple or like that's carbs. That's not what we want in the morning right now. And this will be a general rule of thumb as you move through the shift and the change as well. You know, the old school nutrition talks about like carbs in the morning and proteins in the evening to go rebuild. I kind of like just flip the whole thing. Really, if you go fats in the morning and then slowly make your way into carbs, because your body's going to use those carbs in the evening to help rebuild all the work that you've done, and that's when you can have them. I don't recommend them still at all until you've gone through the shift again, which happens usually in month 1 into 2 of the 333 program. But so that's step 2. So again, increasing time spent in ketosis, and then fat melting cardio, something high intensity, and then going into, if you have time after that, going into some cardio, but you jacking your heart rate up, and then you're just kind of like cruising. Like now that it's like your motor is running, let's see how much longer we can kind of just carry this out and really sizzle off any other carbohydrates. And really, by this time, hopefully we're into fat burning. Yeah, some of that EPOC, like I said in here, can last up to 48 hours later. So there's a cool infographic I remember in this is my undergrad. It was like, if you are doing consistent exercise in general, but HIITs, if you're stringing them together, it's like you have this window. Let's say like this is 24 hours. If you're working out this hard, you're recovering. Here's one day, here's day 2. You're still recovering from this workout while you're into the next day and doing your next workout. That's why again, it's like timing. Like, don't just do shit. Let's do it on purpose, right? So, anyways, understand that a little bit, and then moving into part 3, strength training to burn. Okay, this is where it's like you're not gonna become a freaking linebacker. You're not gonna be like Ray Lewis or Ronnie men over here, just which are bodybuilders and linebackers. If you do a little strength training, if that is your goal, then your fat burning will come later, and you can rewatch this like 3 months down the road after you put on some like solid mass, and that's a whole nother program. But by doing this kind of weight training, what we're really doing is increasing the size of our engine. Okay, so riddle me this: what burns more gas? And even if you're like a girl, like if you're like not into cars, like you can still get this riddle. Riddle me this: what burns more gas, V4 or V8? A V8. Yeah, exactly. So why don't we try to increase the size of our engine so that we can be more efficiently burning fuel? What a great idea, Rocky. That's why you get paid the big bucks. But yes, but like plain and simply, it's like it's that easy. Like going back to EPOC too. I mean, if we're having all this major muscle breakdown, and not even talking about in here, we talk a little bit too about the hormone health that's happening. But when you do put your body through this through strength training, testosterone spikes, and your whole body is in now this new state. When testosterone is present in your body, it is really difficult for your body to be in this like fat storage stage. It's in this rebuilding phase. It's in this like, cool, stuff's broken down, we're making it stronger. Okay, so you're making your engine stronger, and this is like your longevity program now, because this is like I'm doing the stuff that's having the quick results here, and I'm always going to continue picking up and putting down heavy things to break down my muscle fibers, build them stronger, so that I have I require more fuel. I can burn more. I can burn faster. We want the opposite effect here as the car you drive. We actually want to burn more fuel. Because then you think about when you're just like actually just walking around or sitting at the computer, your basal metabolic rate, like what you burn, the calories that you burn by doing nothing increases, right? I mean, if we're burning like 4 calories a minute by doing nothing, which is a lot, but let's just, as an example, what if you're burning 5? How many more is that in a whole day? So do the math and start into this. If you have questions, like please reach out. I would love to help you go through some of them and answer them. If you want to jump into or talk about joining a 333 program or one of the other ones, totally jam out with me. I'd love to jump on a call. But hopefully this was helpful to you. Really, like you said, so many people have received this article, and dive into it, understand what you will, take away the major themes of it. You don't need to memorize all the hormones, but more than just the timing, and understand that your body is ready to work for you. So let's let that happen. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Aloha, legend. Talk to you soon.